That took a little bit of time, but it seems to be going okay now. So I hope everyone is okay. You can see it, we've got no viewers at the moment, so we'll just hold on a little bit before we start. But obviously when we do get going, if you would like to like, share, subscribe, that'll be fantastic. So here we are in Wolverhampton. And if you're asking why, well, that's all down to work. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and turn this light off because it's a bit bright and it keeps making the screen go a bit funny. I tell you what, we move that there. How's that? Is it bright? Let's try and find somewhere where it's not overly bright. How's that? All that. Is that better? Hey, one person watching. Who are you? Let me know. That'll be fantastic. Is it you, Dom? Let me know. Anyway, so here we are. Man in the shed, gone on tour. Well, not really, but obviously weren't that interested. They thought they'd leave me as well. Never mind. Cheers and Merry Christmas. So what we are going to do today then is I'll explain the channel, introduce myself and my channel. This is live stream number 2. A little bit about Wolverhampton, which is the town where I am today. We're going to do a little bit on the football in the Midlands. And we're going to have a little ranking of their teams. Some famous Wolves fans because we're in Wolverhampton. Got a few shout outs. A little bit on Newcastle and their takeover. And then the Saudi Arabian human rights, which do we have any right to have a go at them about? I don't really think so. But you know why I'm in Wolverhampton. Then we're going to do a live Ask Google. So what is Ask Google? Well, I'm going to ask Google a few random questions. It's not always Google I ask either. There's many different channels which I ask. Things like Siri, as I have an iPad. That is more common than Google, to be fair. And this time it's on the Atlantic Dawn. If you don't know what the Atlantic Dawn is, well, that will come up. And then we have the pros and cons of trawler fishing. Another shout out. A little bit on one of the finest TV personalities, David Attenborough. WWE Wrestling Draft has happened. We'll have a little bit of that. Talk about Premier League. A little bit on what's happening in the world today. And we'll go from there. We will probably start when we actually get a few people watching. Because there you go. That'll be a bit of a start. So anyway, that's quite a nice little suite they've got me here. It's a decent size room. Got a view, if you want to call it that. A view of a road. And you can see the train station from here. Wow, we don't get more exciting than that. A little sofa, which is kind of nice. Up here, we've got a little coffee making facility and a separate bathroom to the toilet, which is a bit of a bonus. But yeah, I think what I'm trying to do is turn a few of these lights off. See if that does. Oh no, that turned all the lights off. Don't want all the lights off. Just a few of them would be good. No, that does them all again. It's got to be a way of turning this bloody light off. It's just too bright. Without taking it off. Is there a switch anywhere? Hello, hello. Any switches? Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're gonna have to put up with it. Anyway, how is the world out there? Anybody wanting to join me? No. Doesn't look like it, does it? So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go through this. If anyone decides to join me, welcome. I'm used to talking to myself. It's not a problem. So, let me introduce the channel then. So this is Man in the Shed. So, during, what is it, the third lockdown in the UK, the one which started in January, I needed to get a job because I couldn't stand another 3 or 4 months. So I thought, you know what, gonna start myself a YouTube channel. So that's what I did. We have a shed which was just a dirty shed which had cobwebs and all the sort of junk that you keep in a shed, and we transformed that, or had it transformed, into a room, so office. We got a sofa out there, little kitchen A type area with a little fridge, TV, and it's kind of cool. Little table, and I thought, you know what, I'll use the shed. I'll call my channel Man in the Shed. There you go. That's what was created. So this is second live stream, because you need to get to 1,000 viewers. Did that a couple of weeks ago. They then allowed me to live stream from last week. This is the second time I've actually gone live. Hopefully we'll get a few people join us. So, gonna start then with a little bit about Wolverhampton, and if anyone joins in, we can just go over all this again because that won't be a problem. So, the story then of Wolverhampton, it begins in it doesn't start in 19 anything, it starts in 985 when Lady Saxon named Wolfruna, possibly Wolfruna, was giving the land at Henton in 1994. She founded a minster church and a church with a monastery attached. The settlement by the monastery grew larger, and in its time it changed to Wolfruna's Henton and later to Wolverhampton. Wow, how exciting. So it is quite famous. In the Industrial Revolution, it became a major centre for coal mining, steel production, lock making, and the manufacture of cars and motorcycles. The economy of the city is still based on engineering, including large aerospace, not Aerosmith, Aerosmith's a band, aerospace industry, as well as the service sector. So yeah, a little bit there about Wolverhampton. It is what it is. It's just another Midlands town. It's a bit grey. It is, yeah, what it is. There goes an ambulance. Can you hear that? Thanks for that, Mr. Ambulance. So, let's have a little look at the clubs from off of the Midlands then. So, there's 6 basically. Aston Villa, Birmingham, Coventry, Walsall, West Brom, and Wolverhampton. So the 2 big derbies there. You got the Birmingham derby with Villa and Birmingham, and then you've got the Black Country derby, which is West Brom and Wolves, and then Coventry and Walsall as well. So how would I rank them? So if I was to rank them from 6 to 1, sorry Walsall, you're at the bottom, because yeah, you're pretty much in League 2 and you don't really get much higher than that. Then I would probably go Coventry, although of course 1987 they did win the FA Cup, and they're one of the founding teams in the Premier League, but then they lost their way. They obviously went pre-bankrupt. They almost went out of business a few years ago, but fortunately seem to be on the way back up now, are now back in the Championship and not doing too bad. Then I would put Birmingham. Birmingham really should be better than they are. They've never really been a great side to watch, and a great team. Considering, you know, it's a second city, there's always been London teams and better teams than them. Sort of like, they're there, but no one really notices them. Then West Brom has to be West Brom then next, because they're also in the Championship. They are going up and down all the time. They're quite often in the Premier League. Are they back in the Premier League? No, I don't think they are. I think they're still in the Championship, aren't they? Did we get relegated last season? I can't remember. I'm certainly not in the Premier League anyway. Then you've got your two Premier League teams. Personally, I would put Wolves at number two. They're doing alright, but they've sort of lost their way a little bit. But they're still in the Premier League. They should still be okay. They didn't seem to score many goals, but they don't concede many. So I think that they should be okay. And then Villa. Well, Villa seem to be on the up for me. You know, they were lucky to survive. Hello, whoever that is who just joined. Villa seem to be quite lucky to survive in the Premier League, if you ask me. Bye again. But they are what they are. They are doing okay. They got some good players coming in. There you go. So we're going to do some famous fans of Wolves. So we have Peter Baker, who is a golfer apparently. David Coleman, who was a broadcasting legend. Sadly, he's not a Wolves fan anymore. He died. Steve Edge, who's a comic actor for Phoenix Night and The Peep Show. Don't know who he is. Rachel Hey-Ho Flint, ex-England women's cricket captain. Don't know who she is. Eric Idle, comedy actor for the Monty Python. Is he dead? Is he still alive? Who knows? Beverly Knight, singer. John Lloyd, former tennis player and Davis Cup captain. And then Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, both off of Led Zeppelin. Susie Perry, who's a TV presenter apparently. Peter Power, former Radio 1 DJ, never heard of him. Can honestly say, never heard of him. And Mark Rhodes, kids TV presenter, Sam and Mark. Kevin Rowland, singer, Dexys Midnight Runners. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give a shout out to one of my buddies. So this buddy is Ariel. How you doing, Ariel? Hope you're well. Hope you catch up with this. I'm sure you probably won't, like no one else will. But Ariel, he runs a channel, Knights of Hants. Possibly have heard it. If you're one of my subscribers, you may well have heard of the Knights of Hants. It's a channel that has some interesting things on there. Some things from the Philippines, because that's where he's from, so he has got a bit of politics from the Philippines and stuff going on from the Philippines there, which interests him. And then he actually has a lot of cooking, which he does on his channel, lots of Southeast Asian cooking, which is always a treat. Some of it, I have to say, doesn't always look amazing, but you can just tell because of the love he puts into it, it is gonna taste amazing. Give us a hello, whoever you are. That'd be great. Just let me know who you are. Leave us a comment. That'd be fantastic. Let me know where you're from in the world as well. That would be good. From England? Who knows? You're gonna talk to me, or are you just gonna sit there? Yeah. Hello. Isn't this thing supposed to tell me when where people are from? Who knows? Oh, nobody wants to talk to me. Who knew? Anyway, so one of the real treats from Ariel's channel is when he decides to bizarrely dress up. Doesn't seem to have done that quite so much recently, which is a bit of a shame. Always enjoy that when he decides, hey, I'll dress up randomly as a woman. Used to be quite amusing when he would put his live stream on, and for about the first 20 minutes, nothing happened apart from this bizarre, strange disco-y type music on in the background. And then all of a sudden, this rather large man dressed in women's clothes would appear and have a bit of a dance, a bit of a boogie, have a bit of a laugh, and then he'll go on and talk about whatever it was he talked about. Some of his live streams will be going on for 4 hours. Don't worry, folks, it won't be that long because it just won't. But yeah, so that's Abel. Go and have a look at his channel. Like I say, Knights of Hants. He is part of the Philippines, massive it seems. He is pretty big now on YouTube. Something like, well, certainly a few thousand followers, certainly more followers for me. But, you know, he enjoys it and that's what it's all about. So, what am I going to talk about then? One of the main things which has happened recently, football-wise, is the Newcastle United takeover. So, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia backed print has been part of a consortium which has brought Newcastle United. So, what does this mean in the world of football? It means that Newcastle are now the richest team by a long way in the world by signing this deal. Their former owner, Mike Ashley, we'll come on to Mike Ashley in a bit. In fact, I will just write that bit in so I don't forget it, because that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Imagine that. I'll pop that in and then I won't forget. You don't get this in the news, which is kind of a shame, really. But there you go. Whoever that was, thanks for coming in. So, the Saudis have brought Newcastle. So, what does this mean? Well, let's see what happens to Steve Bruce first. Possibly he could be on his way. Who knows? It's a shame, really, because Steve Bruce does try his best. He does, try to get the best out of some players, and they're not the best in the Premier League. So it's no wonder that they're not winning the league every season. In fact, quite often they struggle to stay in the league. But he works within the restraints that he gets, and Mike actually didn't often flash the checkbook. But to be fair, Newcastle weren't really in debt, so as much as they can complain, he actually, for me, I wouldn't mind him at my club as a chairman. Just saying. But I understand Newcastle wanted something a bit richer and be able to compete a bit more. I'm a Portsmouth fan. We're not really in the same league as Newcastle. Actually, we're 2 leagues below them, but let's not actually worry too much about that. But one thing people are complaining about is the human rights from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They still have in the streets decapitations and taking people's arms. Well, that is that government. That is what they do. We can't just say, oh no, you're not allowed to do this, because in our country we don't do that. You can't be in charge of every country in the world, because that's just not right, in my personal opinion. But what are they going to do with the £310 billion that they've got? Well, surely they're going to invest in better players than what they have. But it doesn't mean that they're going to go out straight away and buy the best players in the world, because to start with, they need to get themselves back into European football, or even into mid-table in the Premiership, probably playing better football than they do. Newcastle potentially could go on to be the world powerhouse, but as Man City showed, and even Chelsea, you don't just become the best team in the world overnight. Manchester City have spent 8-9 years to get the players in, get the structure, get the training ground, and eventually get the manager that they wanted, so they can now play the sort of football which they do, which is fantastic. And if the Newcastle owners can get football played better than Manchester City and Liverpool, then we are in for an exciting time, whether you support Newcastle or not. That's just the way it is. When it comes to human rights, well, as I say, I don't think we from other countries have any right to tell other countries how they should be run. Doesn't necessarily mean I would want to live through it, but there you go. It's just the way it is. Now, there were some clubs in the Premier League who were like, no, these owners can't come in. They can't do that. We're looking at the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, these so-called big 5, big 6 teams. Don't want this because, one, okay, they can argue all they like about the human rights and that, and it's hard to disagree, but as I say, that's the laws of their country and the people who live there. It's not like it's already all of a sudden been thrown on them like it has in Afghanistan with the Taliban taking over and no democratic elections. These countries don't have democratic elections, so that was never going to be a thing anyway. But yeah, that is just going to be one of those things, unfortunately. So it was sport talked about in the press over the last few days that Mike Ashley, the previous owner of Newcastle, who I've already said, for me, he keeps your club afloat, might not invest loads, but he doesn't put you in huge debt. He could possibly be looking at Derby as his next team. Now, if he was to take over at Derby, would anyone from Derby actually see that as a bad thing? Personally, he will wipe out that debt. And, it can only be good for Derby, in my view. Could possibly mean that the likes of Wayne Rooney would stay there, and maybe you could get some players in there which can take you out of or be League One next season, back into the Championship, and then start building for a possibility for a push towards the Premier League. Who knows? Hello, whoever that is who's just joined again. It's lovely to have you. Just going through a few things. If you want to go back and see whatever has been talked about, then that's great. If you want to let me know who you are, then just leave me a comment and say hello, and it should come up on the screen and I can say hello back. At the moment, you're just one person up there, but it'd be nice to just know who you are or where you're from. That would be great. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and would appreciate that. Even if you just put in a like, it'd be nice to show that I'm not just some random weirdo sat in a hotel suite and no one's going to talk to me today, are they? Literally one person watching, they don't want to talk to me. Who knew? Anyway, so yeah, for me then, Mike Ashley would be sorry, it's not COVID, just a cold. Mike Ashley for me would be a good person to have in at Derby, and obviously I don't support Derby, so I don't have any worries about that. So we're going to give another shout out now. This time it is a double shout out. This one is to my boys Owen and Michael at work. Hope you're having a good day and hasn't been too bad today. When I come back, I'll go through the new menu changes with you, which is why I'm actually in Wolverhampton, but we'll get onto that in a moment. So, Owen, hope you're behaving yourself. And Michael does actually have a channel called Mike's Bites, if you want to go and check that out. He does some cooking on there, and he's got some interesting dishes. Go check it out and like, share, and subscribe. I'm sure Mike will be pleased with that. So why am I actually in the city of Wolverhampton today? Well, I've come up to do a cook-off from work. We have every 6 months a new menu comes on, and we've come to see what changes there are. Not much, but there's a few things. Some of the things sound like they could be quite interesting, quite nice. Glad that certain things have gone, and there's a few little tweaks on some of the dishes we've had on for a little while now. So it's nice to have a few little changes that will make things a bit interesting. Next week we will be doing a cook-off on Monday. If anyone from work is watching, it'll be next Monday. We'll go through the new menus and the menu changes with you. So whilst we're here now, we're going to do a live Ask Google, because I decided I'm going to do one of these live because why not? And the one we're going to do is the one that, Dom, you've been waiting for, the one on the Atlantic Dawn. So let me just pop in the time so that you don't have to waste the whole thing. We will do it on 25 minutes. So we'll just wait for those last couple of seconds to go. So welcome then. So we are going to do a live Ask Google, and the Ask Google is about the Atlantic Dawn. If you don't know what the Atlantic Dawn is, so let's ask the first question to Google, and Google may well tell us. I'm actually going to ask Google. I've got all these already written down. I've already asked Google, but that saves time. So what is the Atlantic Dawn? So the Atlantic Dawn is the world's largest pelagic, something like that, trawler, and the most controversial fishing vessel to ever be built. How big is it? The Atlantic Dawn is 144 meters and can hold up to 7,000 tons of frozen catch. That's enough to feed 18 million people. Frank Fahy, Minister of Fisheries, explains that the Atlantic Dawn will join a number of foreign fishing boats off the coast of West Africa, the first for an Irish fishing vessel. How much fish can it hold and potentially catch at a time? So when operating at full capacity, the Atlantic Dawn could catch, process and freeze 400 tons of fish every day, 24 hours, and could hold a total of 7,000 tons of frozen fish. Already told you that. And the vessel has enough to stay at sea for up to 5 weeks at a time. So pretty much it's a fish factory to kill fish. What is the most caught fish varieties? The world's 23 most fish species, from anchovies to pilchard via tuna. Despite a steep drop in catches in 2012, Peru's anchovy remain by far the most caught fish in the world, shows a new report by the Food and Agricultural Organization. How exciting! Why is this bad for the environment? The Atlantic Dawn is the greatest fish killing machine the world has ever seen. Charlie Clover, The End of the Line. This is a ship that could never be this is a ship that should never be built. Callum Roberts, The Unnatural History of the Sea. The Atlantic Dawn was and still is today, under its new name, the world's largest trawler, the most controversial fishing vessel ever built. It helped make its owner, Kevin McHugh, a multi-millionaire. How exciting. But the political storm that the ship caused also highlighted the double dealing, greed and blindness to the plight of the world's fish stocks that characterize the commercial fishing industry. The Atlantic Dawn, or now the Alinis Lilina, we'll stick with Atlantic Dawn, is just one of many ships of its type wreaking havoc on the world's oceans. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO, of the United Nations Bulletin of Fishery Fleet Statistics, there are 38,400 trawlers in the world with a displacement of 100 tons or higher. While the Atlantic Dawn may be the world's largest trawler, it is not the world's biggest fishing vessel. That is the Russian registered ship, the Lafate. Think I might have said that right. If I didn't, never mind. So how big are the nets? And I have to say, it doesn't actually give me the proper answer here, but I'm going to read what it said anyway. At 144 meters long, weighing in at 14,055 tons with a crew of 63, the Atlantic Dawn was the biggest and the most technologically advanced trawler in the world. 9,655 brake horsepower diesel engines could propel the ship up to a top speed of 18 knots, around 20 miles an hour, and the nets, hundreds of meters wide, could be pulled through the sea. Atlantic Dawn was also fitted with an advanced low-frequency, long-range fish locating sonar and features onboard filleting, freezing and refrigeration facilities. When operating at full capacity, the Atlantic Dawn could catch, process and freeze 400 tons of fish every 24 hours and could hold a total of 7,000 tons of frozen fish. The vessel held enough fuel to stay at sea for up to 5 weeks at a time. So basically what I've told you there is everything I've already told you. But there you go. But I do have a bonus fact for you. Okay, this one isn't actually about the Atlantic Dawn. This one is a bonus fact though. What fisherman holds the record for the biggest catch? Sorry, 1 second. I'm just going to have a quick drink. Yes. Got a bit of a cold. So, who holds the record for the where's it moved? So, what fisherman holds the record for the biggest catch? According to the IGFA records, don't know what that means. The largest fish ever caught was a great white shark that weighed an unbelievable 2,664 pounds or 1,208.389 kilos, caught off the coast of Seldula, Australia, possibly said that right, in 1959. It took an angler, Alfred Dean, just 50 minutes to win the fight against a 1-ton shark. Wonder if he got his hook back. Anyway, who knows? So, the pros and the cons then of trawler fishing. So for me, we need, I eat fish and meats. I enjoy eating fish and meats. I also enjoy vegetarian food. Not saying that there's anything good or bad about whichever side you want. So I do find that on Twitter you do get a lot of these vegans who want to be, oh, I'm great because I'm a vegan. Oh yeah, look at me. I'm saving the world. Yeah, sure you are. Anyway, this is not upset people. The pros of it is you get enough catch to feed enough people, and also to go out in these boats. It takes a lot of fuel. You need to make sure you make your money back. Unfortunately, that's just the way. I'm just going to open that window back up. Hopefully, the cars would have calmed down a bit out there. It's a little bit warm in here. You can hear the road now. How exciting is that? But yeah, it's a little bit warm. Well, I was coming to work today for, not actually on my work, so I thought I'd better wear a pair of jeans today rather than the shorts I prefer to work, and it's a bit hot, but there you go. So, pros and cons then. So yeah, make sure you can earn enough to actually run the ships, but the problem with that means that you're actually too much money and you're catching too many fish. One of the biggest problems with how it is run, certainly in Europe, I don't know about the rest of the world, but you get a quota in Europe that if you are a particular type of fisherman, 65% of your catch can only be of other stuff. And then there are certain weights of fish. Now the problem with fish is it depends on what bladder they have as to whether or not they can actually be thrown back. So lots of fish are actually, sadly, being put back into the sea because they're too small, and they actually are already dead because the bladder was destroyed when they were pulled up. And also certain trawlers do actually carve up the bottom of the ocean, so things like coral reefs and that potentially could be damaged by these large vessels. But as I say, I do enjoy a fish, but it does take a lot of more work to actually line feed from the seabed and from the beach. But it's enjoyable. I actually quite liked going fishing as a lad. But there you go. So I'm going to do another shout out. I can see that currently doesn't seem to be anyone listening, but if there is anyone listening, if it is Dom, I'm going to do a shout out to you. So Dom is actually from the West Midlands. So I'm here in the Midlands. He's from the West Midlands. He is from sunny Stoke, off of the Bet316 Stadium area, formerly known as the Britannia Stadium. Maybe that lady could put a bit more of her money into Stoke so you could actually get back to the Premier League and actually, make the team a bit better. It'd be nice, wouldn't it, Dom? But yeah, Dom, I work with Dom. He's a bit of a lad. He's a laugh. And yeah, there you go. So What we're going to talk about now is a television icon in my view. It is the legend that is Sir David Attenborough. So, Sir David now is well into his 90s and is still producing some great TV. Okay, he doesn't go out and film it anymore, I'm sure. He probably just commentates on it, but he is an environmentalist. He is the sort of person who would love a Greta Thunberg. We know this. He has done work with her, but for me, he is the voice of nature and natural TV. You see lions stalking their prey on the Serengetis. You want David Attenborough doing the narrating. You know, there are different types now. Of course, we had the legend, and now sadly no longer with us, Steve Irwin, as the crocodile hunter, who then brought in a different type of skill to it. We've got Steve Backshaw, who is in a way similar. He does Deadly 60, but it's the voice work of David Attenborough that is just perfect for nature. You know, when he goes, God bless him, the world will miss a true television great and an icon. Absolutely deserves to be a Sir. So much work for nature, and the WWF, I'm sure, are always pleased to have him as part of what they do. So, also, as David Attenborough done then. So, I've nearly run out of stuff to talk about. You know, I'm only 36 minutes in, and I've got myself a little script I put on my iPad. But there you go. So, last week then, it was the WWE Draft, and the draft comes into effect after Crown Jewel, which is a week Thursday. So we will see the likes of Drew McIntyre coming over to SmackDown, whilst Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch go over to Monday Night Raw. So there's a few changes about. Should make it a bit interesting. Pleased we've kept Roman and the Usos. There goes another ambulance. Don't know what they're doing to each other out here. They seem to be going past quite regularly. Oh, shut up! I've opened the window for a reason. It's not so I can listen to ambulances. So it's that's the way I guess it is. Then in the Premier League, one of the big news obviously was what's happened with Newcastle. Let me just have a quick look at what is going on in sport today. So currently then we have Estonia versus Wales. That is that a thing? Have they started yet? No, they don't start till 9:45. Shall we have a quick look then at the Wales lineup? So I won't bother reading out the Estonia team because I don't think I'll know. But for Wales in goal, then they're playing a 4-4-2 by the looks of things. They got Ward in goal, Roberts at right back, Metford and Rondon in a centre backs, and Thomas at left back, Wilson on the right, Allen and Ramsey in the centre, and Ampadu on the left, with James and Moore up front. I imagine that is the same James that made it sold to Leicester. Anyone big that I know on the bench? Nope. Don't really, unless they got Gareth Bale on the bench, I'm not really going to know who they are. So yeah, there you go. Let's get rid of some of this. And then back to football. What else we got then? England play again tomorrow, so they will be playing Hungary tomorrow. Any idea what the team could be there? No, I don't imagine it's going to be the same team though. that they had in the last game. I can't imagine, although Sam Johnson did make a good save towards the end apparently. Didn't actually watch the game. And it seems that Mendy has been refused bail, the Man City defender. He's got himself into a little bit of trouble, hasn't he? What else is going on? So Messi has made South American football history with his 80th international goal. Long way off Ronaldo, though, isn't he? Um, so let's have a look then quickly at the Premier League. So coming up then on Saturday, we've got the early kickoff will be Watford at home to Liverpool. Then we have a Midland derby with Aston Villa against Wolves, Leicester, Manchester United, Manchester City, Burnley, Norwich against Brighton, and Southampton against Leeds. Brentford, Chelsea is the late game. So Watford, Liverpool, you've got to fancy Liverpool there. Villa, Wolves, well, I'd fancy Villa because I've already said that I think they're the bigger team in the Midlands and they're at home. Ollie Watkins possibly could play, and Danny Ings. William Southampton could be a good one. Leicester against Man United. Manchester United need to start winning at home, decent away from home. Manchester City, Burnley. Well, I don't rate Burnley's chances. They normally get absolutely spanked. You know, Burnley are generally a good team, but they always seem to struggle when it comes to Manchester City. Norwich really have got to start turning that form away, but they are at home to Brighton. Brighton have had a fantastic start to the season, doing really well. And then Southampton against Leeds. Well, Leeds are a great team, but if Southampton, who have the potential, another ambulance, say, not really sure what the kids are doing to each other out there. Might be the same one going back the other way now. Who knows? Alright, there guys, definitely an ambulance. You can tell what's an ambulance. But that's about the fifth or sixth one since I've been in this room that I've gone by. As I was saying, Southampton do have the players. They've just got to work a bit harder on the final third for me. If they can be a bit more solid at the back as well, that'd be good. Brentford, well, they've had a terrific start to the season. They got Chelsea, so yeah, good luck with that one. Let's just have a quick look at the table then. So we got Chelsea, who are currently top, Brentford, who are in seventh place there. So if we go down to the bottom then, so Norwich currently have 1 point. Then the newly most richest team in the world, Newcastle, are second from bottom. Then it's Burnley. Both of them teams with 3 points. Southampton have got 4 points. Leeds have got 6. So if Southampton can win that game, that will put them above Leeds and a bit further from the relegation zone. Watford and Palace both on 7. Leicester have got 8. Leicester aren't doing very well at all really this season, and they need to start picking up points. Wolves mid-table on 9 in 12th. Arsenal and Villa both have 10. Then West Ham 11, Spurs and Brentford 12. Brighton, Everton, Manchester United, Manchester City all have 14 points. Liverpool with 15, and then double league Chelsea with 16. Everyone has played 7 times. The only teams yet to win are Southampton, Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich. The only team yet to lose is Liverpool. So yeah, it's an interesting league. No one is running away with it, so that makes it a little bit more exciting, if you ask me. And then let's have a quick look today at the actual news, what's going on in the world. So there's been a critical supply deal for the food industry, dealing with carbon dioxide. The crisis in the food industry will now run into 2022. It's because certain things haven't been made. You know, some people blame Brexit, some people won't, but everything and COVID all sort of go into one. Iraq claimed capture apparently of the ISIS finance mastermind Sami Jasmine al-Jabouri was allegedly a deputy leader of the jihadist group under al-Bakri al-Baghdadi, something like that. Well, let's have a quick look at what is going on in coronavirus. They are really urging pregnant women to get the vaccine in England. Agony of dental waits caused by COVID blocks. There's a police constable who may lose his job apparently after admitting COVID rules break down. What are the red list countries, and do I need a test? Well, I don't, because I don't leave the UK. And Rosen wins Children's Poetry Award after battling COVID-19. Well, good on you. Does it possibly here have... Let's have a look at coronavirus then. So Sydney are celebrating the end of a 107-day lockdown. So let me know a little bit about that then, Bill. You know who you are, just know you're listening. So let's have a quick look to see, for anyone who's interested, which countries are still on the red list. So they are Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Haiti, Panama, Peru, Venezuela. Yeah, I wouldn't really want to go to any of them anyway. So if you have been in one of these countries in the last 10 days, you cannot travel to the UK. The only exception is if you are a UK or Irish national or UK resident, in which case you will need to take a COVID-19 test before departure for the UK, complete a passenger locator form, self-isolate on the arrival in the UK for 10 days in a quarantine hotel, paid in advance, so you have to pay for that yourself. These rules apply whether or not you have been fully vaccinated. Rates for quarantine hotels are 10 days or 11 nights for one adult, £2,285. Additional adult age 12 plus is £1,430. Children aged 5 to 11, £325. And if you're travelling from another country, well, it doesn't matter, you can just come in now apparently. What do I need to do on arrival? All travellers except children under 5 years old still have to book and pay for a PCR test 2 days after arrival. The government says you should book this test before you travel. You also need to complete a passenger locator form. Can I visit the US? So a lot of people would be wanting to go to the US. From November, fully vaccinated UK passengers will be able to travel to the US. This should include people who have the AstraZeneca jab, although the US Centre for Disease Control and Prevention has yet to make a final decision. And visitors will need to take part in testing and contact tracing. Well, that would mean AstraZeneca, I think, is the Oxford. That's the one I had. So basically, yeah, I need that to be okay if I was to want to go there. But as it stands, I don't want to go there. So yeah, so that is the news today. So I am going to call that one a day then. So if you do watch this in the future, and if you did watch any of it, then I hope you did sort of enjoy it. This has been a young man in a shed. See ya, pals.